Welcome to Compatible Minds, where we help you align your mindset, habits, and inner world for real growth. Before we dive in, hit like and subscribe to Compatible Minds. We're here to grow and level up together. Today, we are talking about the 1% rule, how tiny daily habits change your life. Let's break down what you will learn today. Today, we are diving deep into the problem of setting big goals, the power of compounding habits, small habits that shape your identity, how to apply the 1% rule, and finally, I am going to teach you the real secret of the 1% rule. What if improving your life didn't require massive change? What if the secret to long-term success, better habits, and personal growth was simply improving 1% each day? Most people believe transformation requires huge effort, sudden motivation, or dramatic life changes, but the truth is something much simpler. Small improvements, repeated consistently, create extraordinary results over time. This idea is known as the 1% rule, and it's a powerful principle explored in habit research and popularized in books like Atomic Habits. Let's talk about the problem of setting big goals. Most people approach change the same way. They wait for motivation. They set big goals, and they try to change everything at once. Starting tomorrow, I'll wake up at 5 a.m. I'll go to the gym every day. I'll completely change my routine. But after a few days or weeks, motivation fades, and the habit disappears. Why does this happen? Because your brain resists sudden identity change. Large behavioral shifts require more mental energy, more willpower, and more emotional effort. Your brain prefers stability, which means the bigger the change you attempt, the stronger the resistance becomes. That's why dramatic transformations often fail. But small improvements, your brain barely resists them. And that's where the 1% rule becomes powerful. Because instead of forcing a complete life overhaul, you start working with your brain, not against it. The 1% rule lowers the pressure. It removes the need to feel motivated all the time, and it makes progress feel achievable, even on low energy days. You're no longer asking yourself to be perfect, you're simply asking yourself to show up in a small, consistent way. And that shift changes everything. Because when something feels easy to start, you're far more likely to repeat it. And repetition is what turns actions into habits. So instead of chasing big, unsustainable change, you begin building small wins you can actually maintain. And those small wins, they quietly build momentum. And momentum is what makes long-term change inevitable. Let's talk about the power of compounding habits. The 1% rule is simple. Improve something in your life by just 1% every day. That improvement might feel almost insignificant in the moment, but over time, those small improvements compound. Just like interest in a bank account. Imagine improving by just 1% each day for a year. Those small gains don't stay small, they multiply. This is why people who focus on tiny habits often experience massive long-term transformation, because habits compound the same way investments do. One small, healthy choice today may not seem important, but repeated hundreds of times, it reshapes your identity. This concept connects closely with habit psychology explored in The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. Habits are powerful because they automate behavior, and once something becomes automatic, it no longer requires motivation. This is where real freedom begins. Because when a habit becomes automatic, you're no longer relying on how you feel that day. You don't need to be inspired. You don't need to push yourself. You simply do the action because it's part of who you are. This reduces decision fatigue. It removes internal resistance. And it creates consistency without effort. Over time, these automatic actions start stacking on top of each other. One small habit leads to another. And before you realize it, your daily routine begins to reflect the person you've been trying to become. And that's the quiet power of compounding habits. They don't just change what you do, they change who you are. Not through force, but through repetition. Next, let's talk about small habits that shape your identity. One of the most powerful parts of the 1% rule is how it changes the way you see yourself. Every small habit you repeat sends your brain a message about who you are. Reading one page of a book each day, you begin to see yourself as a reader. Taking a short walk daily, you begin to see yourself as someone who cares for their health. Writing a few sentences every day, you start to believe you are a writer. Identity is built through evidence, and habits provide that evidence. You don't become disciplined overnight. You become disciplined by repeatedly doing small actions that reinforce that identity. This is why tiny habits are so powerful. They create proof of who you're becoming. And over time, that proof changes your self-image. Because your brain is always asking one question in the background: is this who I am? And every small action you take becomes an answer. When you follow through on even the smallest habit, you send a signal: I am someone who shows up. I am someone who follows through. I am someone who is growing. And the more evidence you collect, the stronger that identity becomes. This is why small habits are so powerful. They don't just improve your results, they reshape the story you believe about yourself. And once that story changes, your behavior naturally begins to align with it. Because you no longer act based on motivation. You act based on identity. Let's talk about how you can apply the 1% rule. So how can you start using the 1% rule in your own life? Start by making your habits so small they feel almost effortless. For example, instead of reading for an hour, start with 1 page. Instead of exercising for 45 minutes, start with 5 minutes. Instead of meditating for 20 minutes, start with 1 minute of breathing. Why does this work? Because small habits remove the biggest barrier to change: resistance. When something feels easy, you're far more likely to repeat it. And repetition is what builds habits. Consistency always beats intensity. A tiny habit repeated every day is far more powerful than a big habit done occasionally. The goal is not perfection. The goal is momentum, because momentum creates a sense of progress, and progress is what keeps you going. When you see yourself showing up consistently, even in small ways, it builds confidence, and that confidence reduces the need for motivation. You're no longer relying on how you feel. You're relying on what you've proven to yourself. Even on days when you don't feel like it, the habit still feels manageable, and that's the key. Make it so small that skipping it feels harder than doing it. Because once you show up, even for a minute, you keep the cycle alive. And that consistency over time is what transforms small actions into lasting results. Finally, we are going to talk about the real secret of the 1% rule. Here's the deeper truth behind the 1% rule. The goal isn't just improving your life. It's becoming the type of person who improves continuously. Small daily habits create a powerful mindset shift. Instead of asking, how do I change my life overnight? You begin asking, what small step can I take today? And those small steps create progress. Progress builds confidence. Confidence builds consistency. And consistency creates transformation. Real growth rarely looks dramatic. Most of the time, it looks quiet, small, almost invisible. But over time, those small actions reshape your future. Because the life you experience daily, it's not built in one moment. It's built in patterns. The small things you do consistently, how you think, how you act, how you respond, quietly shape your direction. And the powerful part is this: you don't need to change everything at once. You just need to change what you repeat. Because what you repeat becomes who you are, and who you are determines the life you create. The 1% rule works because big changes fail due to resistance. Small habits compound over time. Repetition shapes your identity. Tiny actions build consistency. And momentum creates long-term transformation. I am going to share something simple you can do right now. Choose one habit you want to build. Then reduce it to something so small it feels almost too easy. For example, 1 page, 1 minute, 1 small action, and commit to doing it today. Not perfectly, just consistently. Because the goal isn't to change your life overnight. The goal is to take one small step that your future self will thank you for. Thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate you taking the time to learn and grow with me. Investing in yourself is truly powerful and something I deeply believe in. If you're serious about changing your habits, I put together a 30-day system to help you actually follow through. See the link in the description. Let's keep learning, leveling up, and building a healthier, more aligned mind together. See you in the next video.